Welcome back everyone to Redstone with Ripper. This is episode 13, lucky 13, and today we are going to be going over smart pistons, and yeah, as I promised, a much more hands-on episode, as you can see with the pistons in front of you. So let's get straight into it. So some of you may have not heard the term smart piston. It is a phrase that was coined, I believe, by Etho, and a smart piston is basically a piston that will push a block when it detects that a block is in front of it. So it's not a particularly hard concept, but it's a very, very interesting one to kind of explore. And basically, it really pushed automation to the next level with some things. So what we've got here is your regular piston, a normal, everyday piston. Nothing too special about it. You know, put a block in front of it, power it, it pushes it, you know, same old, same old. But how do we turn this into a smart piston? Well, if we were to put a redstone torch here and a block on top of it, you can see the redstone torch is powering the block, but pistons can't be powered from the front. They can be powered like this, but they'll never be powered like this. Now, what if we were to grab this signal out? So I'll grab the signal out, going through the block, and you can see this is a redstone dust. It points in all four directions. So we place our block here. You can see the pistons pushed, and if we repeat this by putting a block there, you can see the piston will just keep pushing blocks forever and forever until I think it's 16 blocks. It reaches I'm not quite sure how many. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it can only push 12 blocks. On the 13th block, it ceases to push. So that is your basic smart piston. So my next little setup here is a bit more of an elaborate smart piston setup. We've actually got 4 different smart pistons here. And as you can see, this is the first one just sunk into the ground a little. This one's rotated. And this one's a bit of a special case, which I'll get to in a sec. And this one is just up in the air. And I just want to show you, it doesn't have to be a torch. You can use torch or redstone block. It doesn't matter. Torch is cheaper. You may as well use that. To redstone repeater into this piston. And you can see it's exactly the same setup. It's just powering the block and then into the redstone dust. So you can see works just the same as a smart piston. And this is what you want to use when you can't use a redstone torch below it, which we can't because the blocks are actually coming through here. So we needed to use a different setup. So what I've got here is basically a bit of a chain of blocks. So we're going to place blocks here. We're going to keep placing blocks here, and it's going to keep going. And then you can see the next smart piston pushes it this way. And this actually nullifies the fact that this can only push 12 blocks. Now we're only pushing a maximum of 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5th block here. So you can see it's just pushing straight into the next smart piston as that. And if you weren't using smart pistons, and this is the appeal of them, I believe, the big appeal is that if you wanted to do this manually, you'd have to run like a redstone wire out here with the repeater out to here, and you need to worry about the timings. This just takes all of that out, and the fact that you only use 2 redstone while doing it. So it's very, very cheap, very efficient, and that's why they're such a powerful tool in moving blocks around. So what I have over here, we stopped before this one. Well, I stopped before this one for a reason, and that's because this is a much different case. You can see we've got a glass block and a sticky piston. That's because we want to push up. And you think, well, I guess we can't place a torch for a start. We have to do like torch to repeater. Why aren't you just doing that rip? Well, if you put a repeater here and do the torch, you can see it's actually powered. If you remember, pistons are actually powered when you put power a repeater into the block above them. It's just the way they're coded. It's just the way they are. Can't do much about it. You can see it's not a bud or anything. It's just being powered. So we need to do some trickery here. What we've got is a sticky piston and a transparent block. It could be any transparent block, glowstone, glass. I can't think of any more off the top of my head for some reason, but any block that does not conduct redstone. Half slabs will work as well if you have them upside down. Anything that doesn't conduct redstone will work. And basically what we're doing is that when we place a block here, it will actually bud this piston, because if you remember the quasi-connectivity bud switch, if you don't know what it is, I highly suggest you go watch the bud switches episode, which is just over there actually. So go back and watch that. So it's actually budding the piston, and to prove a point, I've actually put the redstone here, and it's actually not even powering the piston. It is literally just providing an update. So when we place a block here, You can see it buds it, and then very quickly this updates it, and you can see we're actually pushing blocks up. So I'll get rid of that. Just like that, we can keep placing blocks here, and now we have 3 movements. You can see it's gone all the way over there. So by placing a block here, we're affecting the chain over there. And I just think that's really cool. And then we go up, and we can just, a big chain. Really cool. So by placing blocks here, we're moving them over there. It's pretty cool. So yeah, that's your basic smart piston moving device. So this next mechanism here is probably the most useful thing you can do with smart pistons. So we're going to start with this one input as usual. You know, it's the standard smart piston. It just pushes blocks just like that. So basically what it's pushing into, as you can see, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pistons in a row. These first 4 pistons, you can see nothing's happening with them. They're not doing anything. They're not smart pistons. They're not doing anything. This last one, and I've done a bit of redstone up here in advance, but basically, if you get rid of that 2 redstone, it's just torch to repeater into this block, to this downward smart piston, and then dust, and then the dust is just powering it there. Ignore the last 2 dust for now. We put it there, you can see, it's pushing down. Very, very nice. Just doing that downward smart piston. So when we put the blocks right to the end, you can see the last one gets pushed down. But what if we want to move a bunch of blocks at once? Move all these blocks into one spot and it'd be really convenient. Well, what we've got to do is actually run the redstone up here. I'll get rid of this. We're going to put a repeater here because for some reason smart pistons have a bit of trouble with passing a redstone signal. So you want to put a repeater in here if you want to power other pistons. Just letting you know that. So if we were to just run the redstone line, these pistons actually don't fire just because of a quirk in how the signal passes through the block, should I say. So that's the only reason you really need a repeater there, just to extend the signal so the game actually registers it. So what happens now when we push it in? You can see first piston, nothing happens. Second, third, fourth, nothing is happening. When it gets to the 5th piston, the whole line is pushed down 5 blocks at once, very efficient. Now what we have down here, and I'll get rid of these blocks just for visibility. So what we have down here, we have 15 pistons, a piston wall. Now what this is set up to do is receive this row of 5 pistons down. When it gets to the first row, nothing happens. When it gets to the second row, nothing happens. When it gets to this third row, you can see just this one little smart piston here. It goes here to the repeater. Same reason. It doesn't register the signal if it's just the one. If it's without the repeater, with the one smart piston repeater, and then it just goes to all of the pistons. And believe me, this redstone dust will power the bottom 2 rows because these are budded and then they're updated by the piston. I'm pretty sure I've gone over that in an episode. I can't quite remember what one, but we've definitely been over that. And then we just have some half slab trickery up here. And don't worry about this, guys. I'm planning to go over some vertical redstone wiring in a future episode. So if you don't get what's going on here, just take it as is. The redstone current is flowing up. I'll make sure to cover this in a future episode. So basically, this one smart piston, what does it do? It powers the whole piston wall. So the result of this circuit is we can just keep putting blocks at this one input. It may take a while, but once we get, I think we need one more. Yep, one more. And you can see it's pushed out a whole row. And if we keep going like this, and you can see we've got this nice big cube, and what you would usually use this for is an automatic tree farm where you'd have a big block of wood, automatic ice farm, automatic cobble farm, stuff like that, where you can just come up, you have this big block and you can just chop away at it or mine away at it, and it's very, very convenient. So that's it. So just one last little thing before we end off the episode here, guys, and that is this thing. I mentioned in the last clip that you could hook this up to a cobble generator or a tree farm. I actually misspoke with the ice farm. You actually can't because it doesn't conduct redstone. You actually need to do that with bud switches, which is a little annoying, but it's a kind of similar concept except using a bud instead of a redstone torch like that. But cobble generators and tree farms still work very, very well, and that's exactly what this is, a cobble generator. We're going to put the lava there. You can see we are automatically generating cobblestone because if you have water and lava a block apart, they'll generate cobble between them just like that. So if you didn't know that, there you go. And what you would do is hook one of these up to a big piston wall with smart pistons, something like this, but possibly, but you'd have to do it sideways first and then sideways again probably. So, you know, it's all up to you now. You just have to follow this exact algorithm I've got here. It's really all you have to do with a cobble generator such as this, or tree farm works as well. And there's a couple other ones, but those are probably the main two with smart pistons. So that just about wraps this one up, guys. Hopefully this was a quick episode. I have been known to ramble on these quick episodes, so hopefully I kept it nice and short for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. It's a little concept, but I thought I should mention it anyway because it's pretty cool. I really like doing it. I like pushing blocks around like this. It's fun. And yeah, I thought I might mention it. Next episode, we'll be back with probably a more conceptual episode, I'm thinking, rather than this really, really hands-on stuff. But we'll see how we go. But for now, thank you very much for watching. And I'll catch you next time, guys. See you later.